And once again, TJ Lang will be back with us next week for the very first time. Good to have you along here at the fifth quarter in Little Chute, brought to you by Mole Lake Casino Resort and Conference Center. And don't forget, during the season, the transportation for our players will be provided by L&S Classic Limousine Service, personal, professional service for all occasions. Call 1-800-830-5933 for your reservation. Ask for Lenny or Sue. They're both here in the audience tonight. Lenny and Sue have been with us for a long time, and good to have them back with us again. Rob Domosky from the Green Bay Press-Gazette, Justin Hull from AM 1570 The Score. They are with us. Reggie Razoo is punching all the buttons back in our studios, in our network studios, and we thank him for that. 8 new affiliates on board with us this year, and we'll get to a few of those later on. But they'll be joining us either this week or starting next week. Up to 24 now stations across the state of Wisconsin carrying in the Huddle. So good to have everybody aboard. And for those of you back again, all right, let's go back to some of the points of emphasis. Al Harris, he has not been able to return to practice to this point. Does he open the season on the PUP, on the 53-man? What do you think?
That's the tough question. We know that he's not going to play week one. He would have had to have come back to practice and do something this week to have any chance of playing at Philly week one. Probably won't play week 2 or 3 either. The question is, if you feel like he could play sometime before the 7th game, then you have to find a way to keep him on your 53, because if you put him on PUP, he's automatically out for 6 games. And the worst part of that is he can't practice either. He could not even begin practicing until week 7, and then you have a 3-week window in which you can practice and not be activated. So he needs to practice before he can play. So my guess is they somehow find a way to get him on the 53, even though he won't be ready. The problem is they've got injuries. Underwood's hurt, so you can't have too many guys at one spot that aren't going to play, because you've got to have 45 that dress on game day.
They've got a real logjam back there of injured players, guys that have been up. Will Blackman is another player who could be fighting for his roster life right now. He has not been able to practice again, and perhaps unlike Al Harris, who is making sure that he's going to be able to play when he comes back. He wants to hit the ground running. He doesn't want to have to take every other day off because his knee is sore. And that's kind of what's happening with Will Blackman right now.
Blackman will play in a game, and then he won't be able to practice for the next week. And you know what? If they don't have him as a return guy, he's pretty much out of the mix as a defensive back. But if they don't have him as a return guy, I'm not sure what they have. Yeah. I mean, they do not have a punt returner without Will Blackman. They're going to give this kid, Jason Cherry, a shot, who broke one the other night against Indy, but he did it against, Canadian Football League type talent, not NFL players. So they're going to let him go from the beginning and see if he can do it this week against the ones.
If they don't, if Blackman's not there, what they kind of have, if Cherry isn't the guy, they kind of have like what some people refer to their running game, 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah, nothing spectacular.
Yeah.
If punt return by committee is what you end up doing, whoever it is that week. I mean, Jordy Nelson's returned punts in the past. Charles Woodson's returned punts. I'm surprised
you don't want to put him back there, though. You just do not want to do that.
You got bodies. You got to find a way to use
the NFL MVP gets hurt trying to return
you don't want
punt.
to do that. Not in a regular season game.
All right, Clay Matthews, is that hamstring a concern, or?
He had it all summer last year and played fine, played better than fine, played really well, was 10 sacks and alternate to the Pro Bowl, and I don't see why, as long as he's ready week 1 in Philadelphia. I don't think Clay Matthews is a guy who needs to play in the preseason. He's their second best defensive player behind Woodson, so as long as he's healthy and this thing doesn't pop up. It's kind of weird, though, that the last 2 summers he's had a hamstring problem. But,
same one,
too. Yeah, same one. So, that's a little bit concerning, but I would think that he'd be fine by Philadelphia. He was running out there today doing individual stuff and won't play this week, but should be fine for the first game.
Yeah, look how he reacted to it last year, like exactly what you said. I mean, he came out there, he had the great season by doing it. Probably this year they even brought him along a little bit slower because they didn't feel the pressing need to get him out there and get him some work before the start of the season.
He played in the last preseason game last year. He played in the finale. He won't need to do that this year. He's a star. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That was not a fluke year. He was, I don't know that he'll get 10 sacks because it's hard to get double-digit sacks, but he's by far their best pass rusher.
I know people are just dying to go out and buy their Frank Zombo jersey. Is he a flash in the pan? Is he going to make this team?
Well, he's definitely making it.
And does he have a chance to start?
He's definitely making it. Does he start? I mean, I still think if they're healthy, Brad Jones and Matthews are the starters, but Zombo is not just a fun story and a fun name to say. This guy can play. I mean, he's It's unbelievable. I mean, there's been training camp stories like last year, that running back from Northwestern, what was his name?
Terrell Sutton.
Was a nice story. He made a few decent plays. Quinn Porter kind of was that way, but Zombo can play. I mean, I don't know how that happens where they draft, 300 guys get drafted or so, and he's not one of them yet. He's going to play, and he's going to be he'll be active, too. It's not like he's just going to be on the 53 and not play all year. This guy's going to play.
Well, you look at, too, undrafted free agents from Pittsburgh, Jerome Harris, who's the guy I'm thinking of? Not Joey Porter.
Harrison, James
Harrison.
Yes.
He was an undrafted free agent, got cut his first year, and I think 3 years later, NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Not saying that Zombo's going to do that, but there has been success in this league with undrafted free agents. I think people put so much stock into draft position that when you're on the outside looking in, you put so much stock on draft position. What Zombo is doing might even be seen a little bit greater because he wasn't a draft pick, because of that story side of things. I mean, if you compare guys, I'll use a comparison, A.J. Hawk to Desmond Bishop. I mean, A.J. Hawk has been steady, where Desmond Bishop has kind of been up and down. Desmond Bishop was a 6th-round pick.
Right.
So whatever he does good gets magnified. A.J. Hawk was a 1st-round pick. Whatever he does bad gets magnified because people put so much stock in how a guy came into the league.
When they went to the 3-4, one of the things that Capers said is that a lot of times you find outside linebackers, diamond in the rough guys, because it's such a different, you're not a true linebacker in the sense that you're a 6'3", 255-pound guy, but you're not a defensive end where you're 290 either. It's kind of a tweener position, and so a lot of those guys that end up, Zombo was a defensive end in college. He had to lose like 15, 20 pounds to play outside linebacker. So it's kind of a weird spot. A lot of tweeners end up in 3-4 outside linebacker.
Let me ask you this about Brad Jones, though, because Brad Jones has hardly practiced in this training camp.
And last year, too, he missed a bunch of time.
Yeah, I mean, I know this guy has proven that he can play, but he's not proven as a player like Clay Matthews is proven as a player. How much is missing all this time hurting him?
Well, they're going off of potential because he played, the last 7 games after Campman got hurt, and I think he had 4 sacks in that stretch.
I mean, is he the guy that's going to be nicked all the time?
Sure, it seems like it. He hasn't. He was nicked all camp last year with a back injury. He's had a back and a shoulder problem this year. He was a 7th-round pick for a reason. He's not a first day draft pick. So, it's not like this guy's just an automatic surefire star.
But whatever he can contribute or whatever he does contribute is going to be a plus on this team, especially with how banged up that linebacking core is. That's why Zombo had an opportunity.
Right. Jones is the second best guy by default.
Jones had the opportunity last year probably because Matthews was banged up.
My point is the opposite outside linebacker of Clay Matthews, is that player going to be good enough where this defense won't be considered a weakness?
Well, look, they had to move Brandon Chiller out there for a couple weeks to try that. Now, it didn't quite work as well as they thought, but they still my guess is that you'll have Matthews playing one side, and then you'll have a combination of Jones, Zombo, Chiller, and maybe even Papinga getting snaps at the other side. And Papinga, at this point, what's he, 5-6 years in the league?
Yeah.
It's just, if it was going to happen for him, it would have happened by now, I think.
All right, ordinarily down throughout the season, at this coming up in another segment or two in the show, 6:43 every night. We're not going to do it tonight, but we'll start it next week. We bring you our email question of the week, sponsored by Granite Peak Ski Area up in Wausau. Each week, we'll be rewarding the email question of the week winner with a 2-night stay and lift tickets for 2 days at Granite Peak. All you have to do is go to inthehuddleshow.com. Inthehuddleshow.com. It's all one word except for the .com. inthehuddleshow.com, and email us your question. You could be enjoying a great ski getaway from Granite Peak Ski Area. Also, you can follow and send questions to the show on Facebook and Twitter. Tweet us at In the Huddle Show, all one word, In the Huddle Show, or search for us on Facebook at In the Huddle Show, or just type in facebook.com/InTheHuddleGB. All right, those are the different ways you can get in. Ask a question. Justin's going to pick out all the questions, and we're going to put them on the air during our 6:43 segment each and every Monday night, and then we will pick out one. And each Monday night, we will give away a ski package at Granite Peak Ski Area that's valued at better than $400. So pretty good idea just for getting involved in the show. We may reward you with a little something in the end. Rob Demoski from the Green Bay Press-Gazette, our guest, along with Justin Hull from AM 1570 The Score. I'm Bill Scott. Back with segment number 3 from the 5th quarter in Little Chute, Woodward Radio Network.